Hi guys. Welcome to Living Abroad, the podcast. Today we have my good friend Maria, and I'd actually allow you to introduce yourself, so I don't want to miss out on anything. But welcome, guys, and this is the first episode of 2023. I mean, it's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while. I've been going through some things. Yeah, but yeah, finally we are here, and this is the first episode of 2023. And we have my good friend. Man, introduce yourself, please.
Hey, hey girl, hey everybody. I don't know what to say. My name is Maria. I'm a mom, a wife, a public speaker, an author. I'm based in Manchester in the UK. And yeah, I'm a very good friend of Vanessa. And we go a while back and
Oh
we
my, we
share
go.
some pretty deep stuff, don't we? Yes.
And the last time I saw you, it was at a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to get into that. It's been
I roll.
it's been years. And I honestly want to talk about how we met, at the teenage cancer, UK, what would you call them? Like the outings, those holidays they used to put together.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's got like special day outings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was more like a weekend, wasn't it? It was like
Yeah,
a
it was like those weekends away they put together for young people who have being diagnosed with cancer. And what we were talking about the other day, it's I remember you being the only other Black person that has been diagnosed with cancer, in the whole of UK. You know what I mean?
it was it's it's pretty shocking and pretty scary at the same time that I know, it's rare but obviously, but it's not that rare that it took so long for us that being on treatment or after treatment to find another young person and another young Black female as well that's and had an experience of cancer, and it took so long to find somebody to connect with, which I think is very sad because it's something that is needed, that support system. Because don't get me wrong, yes, we have you could it depends on what hospital and where you're treated. Some places have support groups, but then again, it's dominated by mostly white older men or white older females, and there's hardly any Black people, let alone young Black people that are related to. And unfortunately, years down the line, thankfully, we're both in remission and we're both living good and we've moved on with life, but I'm still involved with quite a few of these focus groups. And I am now part of my job as an entrepreneur is I work with a lot of organizations, charities, and focus groups as a patient representative. And it's still a problem where young Black people we're going through cancer, currently or past, are still be underrepresented. Definitely, which is very sad.
I mean, for me, it was a really short operation, It was just my diagnosis. It was just one trip to the doctors. I wasn't even sick. And just a random blood test. And they said to me oh, we just saw the test look like you are pregnant. And I was like, I'm definitely not pregnant. I don't even have a boyfriend. So it was the hormones in my urine, that's how they picked it up. And they just find out that I had a 2.5 centimeter tumor, which they kind of I did an operation and they cut it. So it was I didn't even go to chemo or anything like that. But if it was larger, I'd probably have to go to a long, treatment.
Yes.
Yeah, but for you, being there for a long time, your treatment was quite long.
It was quite long, definitely.
Can
Yeah.
you talk about that journey, being alone? Not alone
Definitely.
as in a state of everywhere you go, you this only Black person.
Definitely. So yeah, just to give a little background, so I was diagnosed with osteosarcoma. So osteosarcoma is a form of bone cancer. So I had that in my left leg. So what that consisted of was I had to have a round of chemotherapy, surgery, and also chemotherapy. So overall, that took about 10 months of active treatment. So that meant obviously more hospital visits, appointments, scans, surgery, and whatnot. So I was definitely quote unquote, in hospital a lot more, and it was rare. And all these cancer support groups and trips, and they will literally be, I'll be the only black talking girl. And it was such a shame, because I do remember there was when I was at the point of being diagnosed, there was another young black boy that was diagnosed with a similar cancer to that I was, and we're both treated at the Christ as well. No, at the Manchester Children's Hospital. Was a different name at that time. So I was like, oh, I was even feeling, quite excited that, oh, there's another. But unfortunately, our treatment schedule didn't, it didn't correlate. When I was in hospital, he wasn't, and because it was such early days as well, and it was such a new thing. Imagine being the first person in my family that's ever had cancer, and then being having to step into that cancer community. I think as a 15-year-old as well, I didn't instinctively think to have, looking back, I wish I did, but obviously I was younger. I didn't instinctively think to connect with that young black boy. And I don't think even my mom did. Her and that boy's mom probably did connect or speak for a few times, but I think it was just still such an alien feeling for everybody in that space, having to enter that cancer community. And first of all, you're hit with the diagnosis of your child going through cancer, and that itself is a big thing, let alone then having to, okay, navigate, this is what's going to happen. So I can only imagine what my mom, as a parent, what she must have going through in terms of the support system available. But me also, as a young black person, I don't know, I didn't get a chance. Looking back on it now, being so young, I was 14, 15 when I was going through all this. And I think it was more of the focus of, oh, staying alive and keeping alive, because that was the first thing. Because one, I read a quote somewhere, and it talks about, again, relating back to why I became a children's author. It talks about, how do you expect a child to grow and become something that they can't see? So it's like, for me, my first instinct wasn't even to like connect with other black people. My first instinct was, as a young black 15-year-old that has cancer and has never seen or experienced anybody with cancer, my first instinct, I guess psychologically, subconsciously, was just to stay alive and not die. Like, just thinking about it, like, that was just actually just I'm just kind of reliving it now. So I guess I wasn't so much bothered about the lack of support out there and the lack of direction and navigation, because the first thing I had to conquer in the first place, the first barrier, I have never seen a black person come out and say, oh, I'm a black survivor. So even there, you know, you want something in life, I think, with us subconsciously, we have a goal, or people can say role models or mentors, someone you look up to. So imagine being 14, 15 diagnosed with cancer. So my first instinct was just trying to stay alive and following the medicine and taking my tablets and going to my scans and attending that regularly. I wasn't bothered, I guess, at that time, or I didn't understand the disadvantage you put me, because then connecting into quality of life and social skills and moving forward as a person, and that was now the obstacle that I faced even till now. And I'm 10 years out of treatment, and it's still a prevalent problem that, again, as an entrepreneur and as a patient advocate, I'm still fighting with daily. That yes, it's important to get the patient on the right chemo, using the right drugs and taking care of them in that part. But then how about the quality of life? How about the social skills, the finances? For example, how do you deal with finishing chemo or finishing your cancer treatment and moving on with life as a person? How do you navigate your finances? How do you navigate getting into jobs? Luckily I'm able to work, but having cancer and surviving cancer are two different things. I've survived cancer now, but if I tell you the list of side effects that I've got from even the surgery surgery or the medication. Nobody really touches on that aspect. I think
And
they
also
expect.
your family, and also like, as much as like it was affecting you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your family, how do you think they dealt with it? Because again, they've never probably heard of it or experienced it, or they don't even know anyone that might have
Exactly.
suffered cancer. So how was your mom like supported? And
I think like even till today, that's something, me and my mom still need to have a conversation about. Thankfully, we're very close, but honestly, I don't think I don't think she had the support because, like I said, having to be kind of that first family in quote unquote the Nigerian community to go through somebody having cancer, it was who do you turn to or who can you go for advice, or not even who to turn to, is who would understand, because sometimes you want somebody that's been in that same boat as you to relate. Your friends and your family, they can only come from a good place and say, "Oh, my sister, I'm sorry,
yeah.
I will, or as a church, we will pray for you." Yeah, those things are nice, but I want to sit down with somebody and, talk about the realisticness of sometimes I'm so upset, I want to cry. Sometimes, I just want to scream, or I don't want to be in a hospital setting because as a patient, I felt like this. I can only
Yeah.
imagine her as a mother, how she must have felt, probably 10 times worse. Because now, looking back on my journey, and then now being a mom myself, Lord forbid, I cannot imagine,
What she was going through, yeah.
the strength you would have to have summoned to daily go through that and not complain. At least not to me. Not once did I say a complain. She was always up before I was. My food was made, like even down to my outfit, like, obviously leaving my hair down to my scarf, like color coordinated. Like she made that journey feel 10 times better. Like obviously I'm not trying to say it was breezing. I had my bad days. Everybody does, but as a mother, she obviously
Yeah.
put me first, and she still had to put her family first. And I don't remember her, taking days off or having the support groups to go to. There might have been, but it wasn't
Tailored.
accessible
It
for her.
wasn't tailored to a black mom,
Exactly. It
like a
was
minority Nigerian mother who's going
it
through
was it
this.
wasn't
It
relatable. She
was just
probably
like
would have
a general, okay, go there. And even if she did go to those support groups, it would have been like she would still feel alone because,
alienated because
yeah.
you guys are talking about combination street, and sorry, that's not on her mind, or she can't relate because she's probably watching African Magic, for example. Something even as simple as that. Like if
Yeah.
like did if they wanted to talk about nothing cancer related, you could be talking about EastEnders, but she wants to talk about the new Nigerian movie that came out. Something as
Just
little
like, yeah, I
as
get it.
that, it would have been hard to find a community to go in and relate with. And even till now, it's still a problem. It's like, you know, the cancer community is working so hard, yeah, but it's still not doing enough to reach those areas. And they have this term that I don't like as a patient advocate because, they always kind of refer to the BAME community as the hard to reach society. And it's like, no, we're not hard to reach. Well, where we are, you just need to make more of an effort or find different ways and strategies and come into approaches by, for example, getting more people of color that are going through treatment and speaking to them and advising them to go back into the community and share their experiences.
So what do you think happens? Because like we're saying, it was just the two of us in all those years, right? Going through that. But do you think there were no other black young, like 20s, early 20s, late teens who were diagnosed at that time? So why was it just me and you in those groups at that time?
I think that is the problem. I think, it goes again back to the multiplicity, the MDT team basically around that young person, around that young black person. Have they spoken to them that the support groups, or, again, they come from the organization, the charities that do all the support groups. You could make more of an effort to reach out to, for example, the consultants or a youth coordinator and ask, I'm sure there'll be a data file somewhere of and say, oh, we've got this trip going on, but if you got a few more BAME members or
Mm,
patients that are on treatment that would like to come to this opportunity,
mm,
don't just put it out there and then obviously the white people would go because that's more commonly known
mm,
to them. But for example, put up the leaflets or they send out the email to a social worker that works with the BAME community or that
mm,
works with the Asian community, go into the community centers, go into the religious establishments and hand out this leaflet
mm.
because most of them will be, don't forget, cancer is not something that's known or it's seen as a stigma. So I'm sure for a young Black person to have cancer, first of all, they probably feel shame because I felt a bit of shame. Like,
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't my fault, but I felt shameful. And there was even, I found it hard to tell my
Yeah, me
friends.
too. Like me too. Because I'm not
Yeah,
going around telling people, oh yeah, you know what? I once had an operation. I
exactly. It's not
had a two
something to
centimeter
go
tumor.
around saying.
Most people who knows me, they don't know that about me.
Exactly.
It's just
So
like that's
first,
something that happened in my past and I just left it in my past.
left
I don't
it
even touch
there.
it, you know?
And that doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that's how you've chosen to cope with it. Like,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. We need to make that. We need to first kind of break that stigma that having cancer, whether it was like mine that spanned on for months, or for example your situation where it was a quick surgery in and out,
Mm,
and luckily you're able to be where you are now. But we need to be able to open that conversation and let that be known that cancer shouldn't be a stigma and it shouldn't be seen as a negative. Yes, it's not a positive experience, but we can only turn the narrative around. So again, it's still the initial catalyst movement starts with the consultants, starts with the
mm,
hospital, the healthcare organizations to reach out to the other young people or other young Black people,
mm,
women, men, and let them understand that it's not a stigma and encourage them to come out and speak about their experiences because
mm,
then that's the only way another young Black woman from Plymouth can
mm,
see that and, for example, send you an email because you'll be surprised the amount of conferences I go to speak at or focus groups
uh,
or this and that, and then people are coming up to me and saying, "Oh yeah, for example, oh I had treatment or I've got a lump or I've got an
uh,
appointment that I've not got." I'm like, go to that appointment,
yeah,
check it out.
yeah,
Or surprisingly, I have people call me and said, "Oh my God, I've just been for a scan and they're saying it might be cancer or it might be benign or malignant. I don't know what to do and what do I do in the waiting period?" And
mm,
I just speak and have a conversation with them because and I remember I was speaking to one of my friends that gave me a call and she was going through a certain situation and she was just like she's going crazy. She just wants to know. I'm like, all you can just do is sit and wait.
mm.
But for her, I'm sure it was just a nice feeling just to be able to get on the phone with another young Black person
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
ask questions and not feel ashamed or
No,
feel.
well done with the amount of work. I mean, you had like a hard time. I mean, for years and years. And for you to be able to do more work after that, like, well done.
Oh, thank you. But it just shows that
Yeah.
you can't, unfortunately, as much as we would like to say, oh, it will be fixed, somebody has to start that movement. You can't always
Mm,
rely on somebody else. Eventually, it will fall on you. And I
mm,
guess no, it hasn't fallen on me because I don't see it as a burden. Instead, I just see it as it just makes sense. If
mm,
somebody 15, 20 years before me didn't have that courage to try that new medication or to try that drug and
mm.
test that chemotherapy, I probably wouldn't be here. So
Yeah.
it just makes sense to use my voice and say my experience as a young Black female going through cancer that look there, I know I'm so grateful for, allowing me to live and give me the opportunity and the drugs and everything, but the quality of life aspect of a patient, a Black person's diagnosis is
Mm,
poor. There
yeah.
is no support. We need to encourage. Obviously, I don't know the percentage of young Black people with cancer in the UK. I could probably find out, but as in what I'm trying to say is actively the consultants and the medical profession need to make it more of an open conversation to let these young Black people know it's okay to use your voice.
Mm.
Cancer is not a stigma. We want to hear from you. We want to know how your experience was. Once you
Yeah.
finish chemo, it doesn't mean that it's done. We don't want to know you anymore. If
Mm.
anything, that's when we want to hear from you the most.
The
How are you feeling
survivors,
right
yeah.
after treatment? Yes.
Yeah.
What support needs to be put in place whilst you're going through treatment, and what do you need afterwards?
Mm.
I think if more Black people encouraged to speak from that aspect, then we'll be able to build, support groups in the right way to benefit us. That
Mm.
way, more Black people, more young Black people will be encouraged to
Mm.
come out and seek help, even not even patients, like family and friends that just want to have the information to be able to go back out there and
Yeah, and
feel
support you. Yeah.
exactly,
But,
exactly.
but like I mean, like we had a conversation about the hair aspect of it when you're going through chemo. That's
Mm.
another. I mean, you're talking about finances, you're talking about the quality of life. But what was it like for you going through chemo and now you're losing your hair? And you spoke about like how also that aspect is not even being taught about.
It's not, and unfortunately, unfortunately, like I said, as a businesswoman, it's encouraged me to, start my business called Ademi. So Ademi means my crown in Yoruba.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is basically what I do. I know it sounds silly to the Black community, but I make wigs, specifically colored wigs, but also moving into the space of providing wigs for young people and young girls going through chemotherapy. I remember again.
What is that? What is that like currently before? Like, because obviously something might have happened or you might have seen something. That's why like you got encouraged to actually make these wigs.
Yeah, because when I was going through my chemotherapy and, before I lost my hair, I had, long hair was thick,
Mm.
was beautiful. I loved my hair and I loved creating all types of styles. So unfortunately, when I did lose my hair and it was time to go wig shopping, and, we had the little NHS voucher and we went to the shop and I was like, okay, my mom wears wigs. I'm used to wigs. And I walked in there and as a 15-year-old girl, there was nothing in there as a young Black
Yeah,
15-year-old
yeah.
girl, there was nothing in it that could suit me, that made sense. And I'm looking at this voucher and I'm looking at how much it is. I'm looking at how much these wigs are cost, and I'm like, it makes no sense. First of all, you're charging these prices for human hair. I'm seeing things synthetic. I'm seeing wigs lace that does not match a Black woman's skin. Like it doesn't
Mm.
make sense. And that was me at 15 years old. And what I remember after hours of being in the shop, I finally chose like a black bob. And instantly I looked in the mirror and I felt sick because I looked
Mm.
older. I looked sick. And the whole point of me trying to wear that wig because I was a bald patient was not
Yeah.
to look sick, to try and look a little bit normal. But it gave the complete opposite effects because the person that owned the wig shop had no idea about Black
I
people.
was gonna say that. I was gonna say that even the person that's actually,
Different, yeah, the skin
yeah.
tone, the texture of our hair, what would match our skin. She had no idea. She had no clue. So that was a problem in 2008. I'm moving forward now, 2020, 2021, starting my business. It's still a problem. And it's shocking that the NHS, and as much as they're doing what they're doing, they're not doing enough, unfortunately. And I remember being at one of the conferences that I spoke at, and a young lady came up and she said one of the reasons why her mom was so scared to even start treatment was when they had to go into the shop to look at wigs. There was
Mm.
nothing there that suited her, and she was scared that she was gonna lose her hair, and that was why she
Mm.
was refusing chemo. So something as little as hair, you might think is not important, but to some people,
Of
your
course,
hair is
like
your identity.
you know how we are as Black women with our hair. Even if
Our
someone is
hair is
touching
our
your hair, you
crown,
like, don't touch. So
That's it. It represents us as a person. So for you to go through something as grueling as cancer, and then for you to lose your hair, which is the main part of your identity, and then nothing is being done to help you regain that.
mm,
So imagine when you do finish cancer, it's like you've lost half yourself instantly or going through that treatment, and it's still a problem till today. unfortunately. Like there isn't enough resources that attains to black people. And again, it's because you don't have enough black voices
Mm.
in in the boardrooms and the high places given real life experiences and real life opinions. How can you attain a product to a black person where everybody sat on that board meeting are white men? It doesn't make
Exactly.
sense.
But
And
this is like, no, but this is like with everything, with racism, with, like with everything. That's what's because I think it looks like maybe we are asking the wrong people to
yeah,
care about our needs. How can they actually honestly care
you
and
can't relate.
do things right when they're not in our shoes? They don't
No,
feel what we're feeling.
but if they can't relate to that.
They can't relate. Like my daughter is going through like a racism, like a racist incident in her school. And even the way they are dealing with, you can tell they are just trying to do right by the books so that they
Yeah,
don't get into
minimum.
trouble. But
Yeah,
honestly, they don't care.
you know, if we're
And they
being
would
honest.
rather this uh gets pushed under the carpet or it just like goes away
Yeah,
like as soon as possible.
magically disappears.
Yeah, but they're not interested in actually how can I put it, preventing the next incident.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Actually
They're not
dealing with the
willing
root
to put in
cause.
work to teach these kids how to behave and what this banter is like and stuff. They're not interested in that. They just, okay, fine, we don't want to look like we don't care about racism, let's just do this and that and that by the books. But
Just to be able to tick a box,
let's just
basically.
tick the boxes. Yeah. So I think this is the same thing as what you are saying. If funding is given to white people to buy these wigs for these hospitals for children who are on treatment, are white people, they're not going to go out of their way to try and find
And
wigs that
lace
would,
that
no,
would suit black. And
no.
don't forget,
So
most
why would their
people,
funding not give, why are these fundings not given to black people
I,
so that because they know.
that's a question that I'm constantly trying to ask and bring up in these meetings, but it's like I'm still trying to initially battle through the first stage of getting through these doors and getting them to listen to me and listen my the patient, and then to say, oh my God, look at all this list of demands that we have, and this is our needs not being met, and they might not look important to you, but because of this, that, and the other, it is important. But at the same time, I'm just that one person. I need a collective of people that, other black people, other black women and young black men that are also going through treatment to also encourage and do their part. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm involved with other organizations that are trying. For example, I work with this lovely young woman called Mary. She's based in London. She's got a charity called Cancer Education. I definitely have to shout them out because what they do is literally try to educate the black community on the different types of cancer. They encourage you to go for checkups, and they give you real statistics and research numbers, and they're trying in that aspect, but as well they're only one of many. Like they need funding, they need to be brought to the top, like the way instinctively cancer research or sarcoma UK, you need to know this black charities, these black cancer charities, they need the funding, they need the publication with the help of the government as well to bring the names forward so that young black people can see and know the names of the organizations to go to when they're in need, but they're not going to shout them out.
No, so what has been your experience like trying to start this business, like like kind of like getting into the space of making wigs and selling these wigs, or uh offering these wigs to like young black people who are on
Um,
treatment?
it's been a very slow movement. Obviously, I've got my clientele base through word of mouth, thankfully, like family and friends. Or funnily enough, like I've been walking through the hospital, like let's say I've got an appointment and I wear one of my wigs, and a patient would stop me that, oh, I like I like your wig, or I like your hair. Where did you get it from? And I'm like, oh, and then I introduce myself, and then through that, I gain a client or I gain a customer. But most times, I remember in the early stages, like I don't want to call out any names, and for legal purposes, just in case. But I reached out to a few of these charities and, basically explained myself. But because obviously I'm not coming from a white, social economically, accepted backgrounds with a Harvard degree. Yeah, I've got a degree, but from uni,
Yeah.
but because I'm not coming with all these backings and all these certifications, they're not giving me a second eye. They're not understanding, or they're trying to understand the struggle, because, like I said, it's not a struggle they can relate with. Or they try and tell me, oh yeah, we sponsor this so and so company, or we give money to this so and so. But I'm like, yeah, you do, but the products that they're creating, it's not attaining to Black people. I walked into the wig shop in one of the major hospitals in Manchester, and how am I seeing a lace pertaining to a Black woman that's grey? What Black
Yeah.
woman do you know that has grey skin? It doesn't make sense.
It
Or
doesn't make sense.
you're trying to give me an Afro wig, but the texture feels like rubber. It feels like dog fiber. How am I supposed to put that on, and how is that supposed to last? How am I meant to brush that and feel beautiful? Because by the time you want to come through, it's matted up. And then, if you're going through chemo, you're tired, you're weak. Yes, you want to look good, but you want to look good and put on a wig and get out the door, which is what I create for my clients, ready-made wig, as in I measure your head, and the wig gets made to your wig size specifications. So all you literally have to do is put your wig on, brush and step out the door, no effort required. But half the wigs that I see in that shop will need a lot of work on
Yeah.
a everyday basis for you to wear and just look even half as presentable.
So where
And
can people get
that's
your wigs? Like if
um
someone like is watching now and listening, where can they buy your wigs?
so far I've got an Instagram page running for Ademi, so it should be spelled ADE then ME. So that's on one word. If there's a description box below,
Yeah. I'll put your link. Okay.
yeah. Or they can, reach me on my email, which is Lawal, LAWAL, Maria, spelled MARIIA @gmail.com. And then just
Okay.
send me an email, and then we can converse through there, and, we can set up
And
a
you're not only selling to cancer patients, you
Oh
make with
no, of course
everyone.
not,
Okay.
definitely no. Yeah, my clientele is for medical hair loss, yes, and all, just a normal
Yeah.
young, even any
You must
person.
make me one, but like I'm not that
Oh,
confident to wear like a
definitely.
colorful wig.
No, don't worry. We'll build up your confidence. It could be a nice balayage, blonde highlights here and there, and then we'll step you up to a little bit of burgundy.
So you're gonna ease me into the
Yeah,
slowly, but okay, okay.
you just jump in the deep end. That's no fun. You have to gradually build yourself up, and eventually we're wearing a bright pink wig and not think about
I
it.
can't wait. So how did this come about?
So this book, oh my God,
Okay, I must tell you, right? I feel like famous or something. I've never like known any person personally that has written and published a book. So I feel great.
thank you very much. Thank you so
So
much.
how did this come about? I mean,
That came about again in a time of, I don't know, just me looking around for information, and again, nothing is out there for young Black people. So I was blessed, like I said, with having a family. I got married, and then I had a son. Well, I've got a son. I've got he's gonna be two, thank God. So I've got a young boy, and obviously being a first time mom, I was so eager, to get his dedication right and get his learning right and all of that. And I was ordering like books, bedtime story books, activity books for him, and I was noticing that all these books are nice and stuff, but there was hardly any books with young Black characters inside. And again, it goes back to the statement of, how do you expect a child to grow up to become something they
yeah.
can? If I want my child to grow up to be successful, and to be bold and to believe in himself, but he can't physically see anybody like that around him, or look in his favorite books and his favorite Disney characters, a white guy, or or a white Prince Charming. It doesn't make sense. Why can't he have a Black Prince Charming to look up to as well? Like, why can't he open up one of his favorite books and there's a black character that's the lead. Why does it always have to be, Sean the sheep or black? Why can't it
Yeah.
be Baba Tunde or there wasn't enough black resources that one connected it back to African roots, celebrated African heritage. Oh, it was just a simple book with black characters inside.
Yeah.
So, and also, with me, something that myself and my husband practice daily is like, how we've learned to use words of affirmation and positive affirmation and the importance of speaking positively and, because you are what you say. So if you speak positive about yourself, eventually you attract positive experience and then that's how your life should hopefully turn out. So, I was looking at like, daily affirmation books for young children and positive affirmation books out there. And there's some resources, but there's none with black characters on it. Black, just black children animation. And there was such a big gap in the market. I was so surprised. And I was just like, but it's so simple.
I know.
And
So
my husband,
where does like I mean, if you come up, like I'm sure everyone has had like ideas, like, oh, maybe I can write a book about that. So where do you go from like, okay, this is an idea I want to write to like actually publishing a book? Like,
I would like to
like
say
your
my
journey.
husband was it was the death of my motivation because he was just like, do it then. He's like, but I was like, no, he was like, because I was like, oh my God, he's so frustrated. It was like, just do it, just write a book. I was like, I'm not an author. It was like, okay, but you think there's a problem. So you sit down, think about it, and then try and fix it. What would you want Zion to see in a book? And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I could start. So obviously I was looking online and looking at publishing because I've never stepped foot into that. I'm as in when I say I'm new,
Yeah.
I'm new. But then something also about me, I've got a very strong head for research. I love anything to do with research. If you give me a computer or fast internet, Wi-Fi, and you want me to research anything, trust me, I'll be there. So I just literally Googled how to write a children's book. And obviously there's companies that you can pay and they'll do it for you or they'll work alongside with you or you can go through a publishing company and that could take years. I was like, and with me, I want to try it first. If I failed, then I know I failed and I'll pay and I'll get it done. So I was going to the companies and they were quoting me like 2,000, 3,000 pounds to help me write my first. And I'm like, it's a pandemic. I'm a new
So
mom.
what is the 2004 to actually print the book or to put
Print the
their
book,
name?
help you write your story, set it out,
You already knew what you wanted in the book.
do your illustrations. But I think it's just a fear of because you've not well me personally was the fear of I've not done it before and I've got an idea, but how do I get it onto paper physically?
Yeah.
I don't know. So I literally sat down for months and I physically wrote it out what I wanted it to look like. I physically wrote. Obviously, this is not the first manuscript, shall I say? So
Yeah.
I literally physically wrote it out, and then there was the fact of do you want to be self-published or not, and then was having to Google how to be self-published. What do you do? What agencies do you go to, and all of that.
Yeah.
So it was literally sitting down months and months of research basically to find the best avenue and to find the best way of doing it. I literally created this. I downloaded it was a book. There's like a book app that you can subscribe to, and there's one Canva. I use Canva and
Oh
like
yeah.
creation, but then there's a few book software apps that you can use and download that will help you with like your titling, like detailing how to do prefix, like getting into the nitty-gritty part of things. So I paid for those software and then I literally had to sit down and teach myself and learn how to write, how to illustrate. I didn't want to outsource. I just thought I want to try it myself, see how it goes, and at least know that I've done it. So that was how literally physically the aspect of the book came out. It was just sat down
Well
and
done.
research. Thank you. Thank you
And
so much.
where can people get it? Where can people buy it?
Right now it's available on Amazon, but currently I am working on my website because this is not just one of one.
Yeah.
This is one of many. I've got a version 2 coming out with a few other things as well. So I definitely will have my website coming up
Mm-hmm.
soon. But for now, it's available on Amazon. Just type in my daily mindset mantra, it will come up and you can purchase it via that link on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
But shortly enough, I will have my website. So in the new book, if you do order the book, in a few weeks' time, I'll be able to link in the website. So you're able to go on the website and then have a look at the other books as well that
Mm-hmm.
are coming out. So keep an eye out for that because
Well,
I'll be back here talking about my other books, the
well,
other things.
and also, so what you do is like you just get them to read all these pages every day
Yeah, that's
of
what
their
me and my
time.
son do. We literally, obviously, has got a range of books he likes to read, at bedtime, and this is one of the books, and it's just daily affirmations, like
Mm,
just to help with the emotions and
mm,
help them understand how powerful they are as young children, because it sounds cheesy, but obviously the way you think affects how you see yourself.
mm,
And from a young age, as you grow up and as life happens, we lose that sense of the spark in ourselves because
mm,
you go to school and for example, like for example, your daughter being in school and experiencing, some sort of racism from her
mm.
classmates or other school members, and she needs to be able to go back home and have that assurance that yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a young black queen and I'm special, I'm loved, I'm kind, I'm gracious, I'm
Mm,
healthy, So, because sometimes she might feel scared to tell mommy because she knows mommy will be on that case and do something, and
mm,
she will tell you stuff, but then also to empower her and make
mm,
it feel special. I want a child to be able to pick up this book in the morning before bed, and if you're
mm,
having if they're having troubles expressing their feelings or just working through their feelings, or they just want that self reassurance, being able to pick up and say to them, I'm a leader,
mm,
I'm special, but as well as saying that, they're physically reinforcing it by seeing a black picture. Obviously, when
mm.
a girl version comes out, for
Yeah.
example, but I was thinking from a perspective of being my son is a young boy. I want him to feel like he can pick up the book and see I am talented and see a young black boy and feel like, yes,
Mm,
that's me as well. I am talented. I am a leader. I am healthy. I love my skin. I can be
mm,
fearless. And, the more you say, the self-fulfilling prophecy
mm,
comes to play and they start to believe that, and hopefully they can carry on that mentality, into the adult state. Because I think what we can all agree with 2020 was the fact of the mental health and how
mm,
much it affects a lot of people, and particularly again in the black community, how
mm,
mental health is not spoken about enough. And
mm.
when it is spoken about, where can you go for help and things of that nature? And if I can do anything to tackle that early, it would be in regards to the mentality and
Of
how
young
we as
black
young
children.
black
Yeah.
people see ourselves. And that goes back to it, that links up with education. So if
Mm.
they can have more resources like this in the libraries,
Do it. Yeah.
in the school libraries, not just the local library, in the school libraries, in the play groups,
Mm.
because we have, for example, yours as a mom, I'm sure growing up, you bought your daughter's white dolls and she played the white
Yeah.
doll. So why can't a white young girl play with a black doll? Why should that be seen as abnormal, or why
No,
can't that
but that's the
be?
thing, though. The parents, the white parents, the white teachers, and everyone else, it needs to be something that they want to tackle. At the
Exactly.
moment,
So it needs to be
they don't.
open.
Yeah, at the moment, they are not there. You
So
know,
that's why it relies again on
their
people like
attitude is so bad because they are not.
it
They're not interested because that's what they will be doing if they were serious. Even at schools, you'll find like books like this in
is.
primary
It
schools
is
around
normal.
the UK.
Exactly. It should be normal. And
Should be
again,
normal.
it's not just about the race, or well, it is at the same time, but it's not just about the young black people. It needs to be young white people as well. If they can pick up this
Yeah,
book and see, you know,
a black person being
as yeah,
a
as
character
as
in a book.
equal, not someone you look down on or someone you look up to, but as my equal, regardless of the color of your skin. It should be normal. We
Yeah.
should all see each other as creative, and we should
Mm.
all see each other as confident, and there shouldn't be anything wrong with that. It
Yeah,
shouldn't be a competition. It should be an encouragement. You should be able to
exactly.
open your mouth and speak positively to your peers. It should be seen
It's not in
and
schools.
celebrated.
No, this is not in schools. This is not in our day-to-day communities and our,
And
this
it's, why
life.
can't it be normal in 2023?
Yeah.
So, that's the question, and that's the fight I'm trying to fight by bringing out educational resources like this. And, again, shouting out another Black brand that I admire a lot, and they do a similar Little Omo. She
Mm.
also sells, toys, but with black, for example, she sells this really nice jigsaw piece. It's
Mhm.
just a jigsaw puzzle, but it's a jigsaw with like young black faces on it. Something you don't really see every day in stores. But
Yeah.
luckily, again, she's making breakthroughs. She's Selfridge has recently started stocking her product, but she was the first black brand,
Wow.
first children black brand to do that. And it's like in 2022, that was last year when she did
Yes,
that.
yeah.
It was the big thing. Why shouldn't that be a norm? Why shouldn't that just be one of many stores? But
Mm.
she knew the hurdle she had to face and overcome to be able to get her black products in stores. And it's still a fight that we're having to fight and let this company know we're out there. We also spend money. Black people also spend money. So the least you could do is at least give us products that look
Mm.
like us in stores for our children, for ourselves.
But I have like a few talks with like different people, right? And I know we're complaining about representation, and we like as creatives, we're trying to do all these products. I'm starting my podcast. I'm giving voice to, like people who are living abroad, and you're doing what you are doing. But are we supporting each other enough as
That's
the
it.
Black community?
I think that's another stigma. I think one half I can say yes. With like I mentioned, the Little Omo brand I mentioned, I'm working with the lovely woman called Desiree, and then cancer education, for example. On one half we are, but on the other end again, it's still lacking. It's
Mhm.
still very much lacking because I remember when I was starting out my book as well, and I reached out to a few authors that I knew. I'm still waiting back for the email reply. Maybe they'll reply me tomorrow. That
Black ones.
yeah, but I think it's a thing of fear because what I realized is what on this journey is very lonely. I had no clue what I'm doing, even till now. Yes, I'm bringing out a second series and I'm working on other things, but it's still fear. I'm still trying to navigate these waters myself. I'm not completely stable either.
Mm.
But I think it goes down to the individuality, and I think we need to take away the mentality of it being a competition, and we need to understand that in this market we're already underrepresented. So
Yeah. If we're
nobody's
not
gonna
helping
steal
each
your
other,
yeah,
yeah.
nobody's gonna steal your customers. If you've got a product, trust me, you will have an audience for your product. And again, it goes back to positivity. I think we again as the Black community, we don't talk enough about positivity. We've always been taught to always be on the edge, be on the guard. So that's why some people might find it so hard that if someone else was to reach out to me to support them, because I'm so mindful that I'm trying to guard my product and my ideas so you don't steal off me, it's not allowing me to,
It's just like maybe like we are still like have this colonized mind,
yes,
even though
mentality.
like yeah, still.
Definitely,
I mean,
definitely.
for me, I always talk about this story. I was like in a documentary, like I wouldn't call it like sort of like it's not a competition, but they chose 12 filmmakers,
Mhm.
and then they paired us with like mentors. And I think because I was the only Black person there, and they thought it was a good idea to find me a Black mentor,
Yes,
which was fine because when I
but
looked at
not always helpful.
yeah, because I looked at his work, I was like, yeah, like fair enough, You know what? All the other 11 like candidates, like they were all right with their mentors, they got help, they got jobs. This guy only spoke to me once, and he just like never bothered to get in contact with me.
Because one thing I've come to realize that, for example, you don't know, he might be even still struggling to get through some doors. That's the issue.
Mm.
So he probably feels like, what help or what offer can I offer you when, because it took
No,
me.
he's well established. He's making documentaries. I just don't want to name names. But I don't want to name.
You don't out him, but then it's true. He does go back to that.
If he listens to this, he will know I'm talking about him. But
Fix up wherever you are, whatever you do, you need to fix up.
get in contact. So now I feel so bad because now I had to go and report him, because at the end of this all, I have to like tell them what I've learned and where I am with my
Yeah, but you
mentor.
haven't learned anything because you chose, and it's a thing, it's a real thing, and
It's such a shame of what we do to each other, to be
that's
honest,
it.
honestly.
That's it. That's it. And I think it goes back to that fear and that mentality of colonization and thinking, oh, I can't let you, what I've got because, I'm still trying to make it for myself, and I don't want, just in case I tell you the secret and then you run off and you get bigger than me.
Poverty, it's poverty of
Yes, it's
the
a
end of poverty.
poverty mentality, and fortunately for some white people, they don't have to go through that. I think
No.
they already have the quote unquote, not to say they all do, but
Mm.
the white privilege mentality that no matter what, I can win. This space
Mm.
is designed for me to win. But as a black
Why
person,
should I bother? Yeah,
exactly. So
jealous. Yeah.
whatever, if you ask me, I'll tell you. If it works for you, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it works for me. But I think for as a black person, they think about, oh my God, I've struggled so much to get here without any help. I've done it by myself. So technically, you should be able to strap up
Yeah,
your.
you struggle as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but why should we? That's the whole
Why?
point. Why can't we pass on, like, that's one thing I remember saying to my husband as well, that one thing I want for my life is, I shouldn't, yes, everybody has struggles and everybody has things to go through, but I don't want to have that mentality that, I have to struggle. Why can't I work smarter? Why do I
Why?
have to work so hard and sweat? And my mom has done all of that, she did
Yeah,
what
why
she.
should you go through the same things? So that's why for me, right? I know we're talking about, oh, we are underrepresented in these like places, we're not getting these fundings because I mean everyone is there is like a white male and whatever. That's why we're not getting these fundings. But to be honest, I honestly don't feel like if Black people were there, because of what we're talking about now, they will still help us. You know what I mean? I don't truly believe that.
Which again is a shame, but I think
Yeah, it's
that still shouldn't stop us from asking and demanding this organization for what's ours. Because I feel like if we do demand and we keep fighting the race, eventually enough Black people will catch on to the idea of, okay, I
if
need
I
to
if I, I need to use my
yeah,
position to
I
help
need
my
to
people.
heal and drop this mentality of
Yeah,
me. It's not a bad thing to actually bring people on board. If anything,
no,
it benefits everybody more if we're all eating from the same pot and we're growing together as a community. So I think, people will be people no matter what. I think unfortunately with that guy's case, they just paired you with a bad mentor. I think probably black or white, I think his mentality probably still the same. So people are just clenched fisted in life because that's the way their vision is taken.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, I'm
but
not gonna take a lot of your time, I did say, because now I don't want to take it. I know you've got a toddler that probably like just crying for you. But before I let you go, like the last time I saw you, it was 2014 when you were in Glasgow, right?
yes,
And I
yes.
went back to South Africa and I come back, you married and everything. So
Um,
what happened to that?
God, God happened, God intervened, and everything was just perfect. Yeah, thankfully, I met my husband, 2015, free church. Whoop whoop, hallelujah. Which is so funny because I wouldn't say I'm the most religious person out there, but it just goes to show, you put out
Yeah.
positivity, you get positivity back, and I'm so grateful because I found the best friend, and the
Mm.
literally say marry your best friend. And like I said, this book would not have been possible if it was for my husband, because I would wake up every day and complain about the same thing every day. And bless him, he would sit there and listen to me complain. And
Yeah.
at the end, he would say, do something about it. And
Yeah.
then I got tired of him saying that, and I thought, okay, I'm going to shut you up. I'll do the book, and then I can complain. But it's like, no, because now that I've done the book and I'm getting all these feedbacks, it's like, okay, now I'm busy because now I'm so busy doing part two and working on other things. I'm not complaining anymore.
It's
I've kept myself
amazing,
busy.
man.
It is.
Congratulations.
Thank you so
You're
much.
doing so much. Like, congratulations. I'm so proud of you.
I'm proud of you as well with the podcast as well and everything else. Seeing you back.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll connect. I'll come to Manchester or you'll come over this side.
Definitely come and visit you in Glasgow, and like I said, take us to the castles and sites and catch up
Yeah.
in person. And we still have a lot more to talk about and dive into, and we
I
have
know.
literally have a lot to work on for the community. So we definitely have to connect again.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. I know you're so busy, but we'll chat soon. Like
Thank you for having me. And honestly, can I just put out there Vanessa's dedication and patience, because she messaged me when this book came out. I think that was probably August, and I was
shout
like,
out to me.
I'm
Shout
up
out to
for
me.
it podcast, and I just left her hanging for so. And she was diligent and polite. Sis, I've not heard from you, sis. And again, it goes to show the support, because if that was another, journalist or podcaster, they were just it's easy to get someone else on the show and leave
Yeah.
him to it. But you understood that obviously I have family and I'm out trying
Yeah.
to book, and I work as well and I have a business. And so you were patient, but you were persistent. And we need a lot more of that in the community, like to
Thank you.
support each other and to let each other know
Yeah.
that we're supported. And it's very important, because that gave me the vim to carry on doing what I'm doing as well. And thank you for giving me this platform again to
Thank
speak
you.
to your family, to your audience, and kind of big myself up a little, I guess.
Thank you so much. Love you lots, Maria. It's been
Look,
so great to connect with you again.
definitely, and I'm
That's
so
so.
happy after all this we can connect, and it's good news, and it's positivity. So definitely, shout out to you after all these years.
Thank you.
Speak soon.